Welcome back to the Health Z podcast. Hope everyone is doing well. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a really fundamental mineral, magnesium.
Ah, yes, magnesium, very important.
Yeah, you hear about it maybe for sleep or muscles, but it seems like it does way more than that.
Oh, absolutely. It's involved in just so many critical processes in the body, really foundational stuff.
Foundational, I like that. And to really get a handle on it, we've looked at quite a range of sources, haven't we?
Yeah.
Health sites, but also some, proper scientific fact sheets.
We have. And the goal today really is to figure out what magnesium is, why it's so vital, how we can get enough from just, normal food.
Right, the natural way.
Exactly. And maybe clear up some of the noise around supplements, because that can get confusing.
Definitely. Okay, so let's kick things off then. The basics. What is magnesium? Where does it come from?
Well, simply put, it's a mineral. One our bodies have quite a lot of, actually. It's naturally in tons of foods. Sometimes they add it to food products, too, and of course you can get its dietary supplement. And it's even in some medicines, like antacids and laxatives.
So it's kind of everywhere in a way. Diet, supplements, even medicine.
Pretty much. And get this, an adult body holds about 25 grams of magnesium.
25 grams. Where is it all stored?
Well, the biggest chunk, like 50 to 60%, is in our bones. Most of the rest is in soft tissues, and actually less than 1% is floating around in our blood serum.
Less than 1% in the blood.
Yeah, and the body keeps that level really, really tightly controlled.
Makes sense. The body likes balance. So if it's all over, why is it considered essential? Sounds like it's doing a lot. Kind of behind the scenes.
You're absolutely spot on. Behind the scenes is a good way to put it. Magnesium is what we call a cofactor.
Cofactor.
Yeah, it helps out enzymes. It's a helper molecule for over 300 different enzyme systems in the body.
Whoa, over 300.
And these enzymes, they run basically all the vital biochemical reactions. Think of magnesium as like the key that turns on hundreds of little machines in your cells.
Okay, 300 is a lot. Can we break that down? Like, what are some of the big jobs magnesium has?
Sure. Okay. Well, one huge one is protein synthesis, making proteins, essential for building and repairing everything in your body.
Right, tissues and all that.
Exactly. Then there's muscle and nerve function, super important there. It helps carry nerve signals, lets your muscles contract properly.
So not just stopping cramps after the gym, but like basic movement and nerve signals.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Even your heartbeat relies on it.
Yeah.
Then blood glucose control. It helps your body make insulin and use it properly. Plays a big part in metabolizing sugar.
Insulin. So it connects to diabetes risk and things like that.
Potentially, yes. We
Wow.
can maybe circle back to that. It's also involved in regulating blood pressure
Okay.
and energy, producing energy in your cells through processes called oxidative phosphorylation and glycolysis. Magnesium is crucial for those.
Wow, okay. Protein, muscles, nerves, blood sugar, blood pressure, energy. That's a massive list already. Is there more?
Oh, yeah. Bones. It's key for the structure of bones. It influences the cells that build bone and the ones that break it down.
Huh. I always thought that was just calcium.
Calcium's the main star, but magnesium plays a critical supporting role. It even affects things like parathyroid hormone and vitamin D, which are, vital for bone health.
Got it.
Plus, it's needed to make DNA and RNA our genetic material, and for making an important antioxidant called glutathione.
Okay, antioxidant protection too.
And one last big one. It helps transport other ions like calcium and potassium across cell membranes. That ties back into nerve impulses and muscle contraction, and it's absolutely essential for a normal heart rhythm.
Okay, yeah. Essential is definitely the right word. It's everywhere doing critical stuff. So the big question, how much do we actually need every day?
Right, that's key. The official guidelines are called Recommended Dietary Allowances, or RDAs. These are basically the targets set to meet the needs of almost all healthy people.
And they're different for men and women in different ages.
Exactly, they vary. So for adult men, ages 19 to 30, the RDA is 400 milligrams a day.
400 milligrams.
Then for men 31 and older, it bumps up slightly to 420 milligrams a day.
Okay, 400 then 420 for men. What about women?
For women aged 19 to 30, it's 310 milligrams per day. And for women 31 and older, it's 320 milligrams, so a bit lower than men generally.
310 and 320. Got it. And what about times like pregnancy or breastfeeding? Needs usually go up then, right?
They do adjust, yes. For pregnant women, it depends slightly on age, but it's around 350 to 400 milligrams per day.
Higher.
And for lactating women, it's generally between 310 and 360 milligrams per day, again, depending a bit on age.
Okay, really useful to have those numbers. Now, supplements. Everyone talks about magnesium supplements. Are they actually effective? Should people be taking them?
Well, for most people eating a decent, varied diet, probably not. They likely get enough magnesium from food,
Okay.
but doctors might recommend them if someone actually tests low for magnesium, or sometimes for specific things like helping with constipation or maybe preventing migraines.
Right, so more for specific situations or deficiencies, not just general health boosting for everyone.
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
And if you do take them, how well your body absorbs the magnesium can depend on the form it's in.
Ah, I've heard about that, like magnesium citrate versus oxide or something.
Exactly. The ones that dissolve better in liquid, like citrate, lactate, aspartate, chloride, they tend to get absorbed more easily in your gut than the less soluble ones, like oxide or sulfate.
That makes sense. Easier to dissolve, easier to absorb. Has that been, like, tested?
It has. There was a study looking at bioavailability,
Oh.
basically how much actually gets used by the body.
Yeah.
And interestingly, they found how well a supplement dissolved in the lab, its sort of in vitro solubility, was a better predictor of how well it worked in the body than just the amount of magnesium listed on the bottle.
Huh. So a big dose number doesn't mean you're actually getting all that magnesium.
Precisely. Some forms just performed significantly better in terms of actual absorption in that study. They also noted that checking blood levels, serum magnesium, can be a good way to see how well a supplement is actually being absorbed by a person.
Good point. Now, are there downsides? Can you take too much magnesium from supplements?
Oh, definitely. You can overdo it.
Yeah.
Taking too much supplemental magnesium often leads to digestive issues, diarrhea, nausea, stomach cramps.
Not pleasant.
No. And because of that, there's something called a tolerable upper intake level, or UL, for magnesium from supplements. For adults, that's set at 350 milligrams per day.
350 milligrams from supplements, that doesn't count food.
Correct. That's a key distinction.
Mhm.
The UL is only for the supplemental magnesium, not the magnesium you get naturally from eating.
Okay, that's important, so don't go crazy with the pills.
Exactly. And another really important thing, potential interactions with medications.
Ah, like what?
Magnesium supplements can interfere with how some drugs work, things like bisphosphonates for osteoporosis, certain antibiotics and some diuretics, or water pills. So if you're on regular medication, you absolutely need to talk to your doctor or pharmacist before adding a magnesium supplement. Seriously important.
Definitely sounds like a check with the doctor first situation.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, you mentioned conditions like migraines. Can we touch on the research for a few key areas? What about blood sugar? You said it helps with insulin?
Right. So magnesium helps the body make and use insulin, and it's involved in glucose metabolism. Some big observational studies.
The ones that look at large groups of people over time?
Yeah, those ones. They found a link suggesting that people who get more magnesium in their diet seem to have a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
Interesting. An inverse relationship.
Exactly. Higher intake, lower risk seems to be the trend in those studies.
Mm.
But, and this is important, organizations like the American Diabetes Association say there isn't quite enough strong evidence yet to recommend that everyone start taking magnesium supplements just to improve blood sugar control, unless they're actually deficient.
Okay, so a potential link, but not a definite treatment recommendation for everyone. Got it. What about bone strength? We know lots of it is in our bones.
Yeah, it's definitely involved in bone formation. It influences the bone-building cells, osteoblasts, and the bone-resorbing cells, osteoclasts. Plus, its effects on vitamin D and parathyroid hormone matter for calcium balance.
Right.
Some studies show positive links between how much magnesium people consume and their bone mineral density. There's even some suggestion that supplements might help increase bone density in postmenopausal women, but honestly, more research is really needed there to be sure.
Okay, so it's a player in bone health, but maybe not the main driver we think of, like calcium or vitamin D.
That's a fair way to put it. It's supportive.
What about brain health or mood? Sometimes you hear magnesium linked to anxiety or depression.
There is some connection being explored there. Low magnesium levels have been linked with more inflammation in the brain and also associated with mood disorders like anxiety and depression.
Associated, okay.
But the exact how and why aren't fully understood yet, and whether supplementing helps consistently across the board is still under investigation. It's an active area of research.
So maybe a connection, but we need more info.
Yeah.
Okay, heart health, blood pressure, and cardiovascular disease.
Right. Some analyses of studies, meta-analyses, have shown that magnesium supplements might lead to small drops in blood pressure.
Small drops.
Yeah, modest effects. Interestingly, dietary patterns known to be good for blood pressure, like the DASH diet, are naturally rich in magnesium, but also potassium and calcium. That suggests it might be the combination of nutrients working together that has the bigger impact.
Makes sense. Synergy.
And those observational studies, again, they've linked higher magnesium intake or blood levels with a lower risk of things like stroke, heart disease, even sudden cardiac death. But again, these are associations. We need more large clinical trials to really
And
confirm cause and effect.
okay, so part of a heart-healthy picture, but maybe not a magic bullet on its own. What about migraines? That seems to come up a lot.
It does. There's a theory that magnesium deficiency might play a role in triggering migraines for some people. Factors related to headaches might be influenced by magnesium levels.
Okay.
And some smaller trials, plus reviews of studies, suggest that taking magnesium supplements, often at pretty high doses, like up to 600 milligrams a day.
Whoa, that's well over the UL we talked about.
Exactly. Those studies suggest it might help prevent migraines. The American Academy of Neurology and American Headache Society even call it probably effective.
Probably effective. That sounds quite positive.
It is, but the huge caveat is the dosage. Since those doses are often way above the 350 milligram UL for supplements, it's something that absolutely must be done under a doctor's supervision. You shouldn't just start taking 600 milligrams of magnesium on your own.
Right, okay. Doctor supervision is key for those high doses. That's a really clear overview of the supplement side and the research. Thanks. Now, let's get practical. How do we get enough magnesium just from, eating the natural way?
Absolutely. And the good news is it's pretty widely available in food. Both plant and animal foods have it. If you eat a varied, balanced diet with lots of whole foods, you're likely doing pretty well.
Okay, so variety is key. Let's name some names. What are the real magnesium superstars in the food world?
Okay, well, top of the list for many people's enjoyment, dark chocolate.
Yes, I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah, but the proper stuff like 70% cocoa solids or higher. An ounce gives you a good chunk of magnesium, plus other good things like iron, copper, fiber, antioxidants. Good for the heart, too.
Okay, high cocoa, dark chocolate. Noted. What else?
Avocados. A medium one packs a decent punch of magnesium, plus you get potassium, B vitamins, vitamin K, healthy fats, fiber. They're nutrient powerhouses.
Avocados are great, yeah. Easy to add to things. What about nuts?
Nuts are fantastic, especially almonds, cashews, and Brazil nuts. A 1-ounce serving gives you a good magnesium boost, plus fiber and healthy fats. Good for blood sugar and cholesterol, too.
So a handful of almonds or cashews is a good snack.
Definitely. And Brazil nuts, besides magnesium, are incredibly high in selenium. Just a couple gives you your daily selenium.
Wow, okay. Legumes. Beans and lentils.
Excellent sources. Lentils, beans, black beans are great. Chickpeas, peas, soybeans. A cup of cooked legumes is rich in magnesium. Plus you get protein, potassium, iron, tons of fiber. Very filling and good for blood sugar.
So things like lentil soup, bean chili, good strategies.
Perfect examples. Tofu also deserves a mention. Made from soybeans, it's got a good amount of magnesium per serving, plus protein, calcium. Some studies link it to better artery health, too.
Tofu's versatile. Okay, what about seeds? They seem very trendy and healthy.
They are, and for good reason. Seeds like flax, pumpkin seeds are especially high in magnesium, and chia seeds are packed with it.
Pumpkin seeds, really?
Oh yeah, they're magnesium stars. And seeds in general give you iron, healthy fats, omega-3s in some cases, loads of fiber, antioxidants. Sprinkle them on everything.
Good tip. Grains. Does it matter if they're whole grains?
Yes, absolutely matters. Whole grains, think whole wheat, oats, barley, buckwheat, quinoa are good sources. They also have B vitamins, selenium, manganese, fiber. But the refining process, when they make white flour or white rice, strips away a lot of the bran and germ where the magnesium is.
Ah, so always go for a whole grain bread, brown rice, oats.
That makes a big difference for magnesium content, yes.
Okay. Any animal sources that are particularly good?
Some fatty fish contribute. Salmon, mackerel, halibut, they provide some magnesium per serving. And of course, they're great for protein, omega-3s, potassium, selenium. Lots of benefits there.
So fish a couple of times a week helps. What about fruits and veggies? Any standouts?
Leafy greens,
Yeah.
especially the dark leafy ones. Spinach is a champion here, really high in magnesium. Kale, collard greens, turnip greens, mustard greens, all excellent sources per cooked cup.
Cooked cup. Okay, so spinach salads are good, but cooked spinach packs more magnesium per volume.
Generally, yes, because it cooks down. And greens give you iron, vitamins A, C, K, just fantastic all around. Bananas also have a decent amount.
Good old bananas.
Yeah. And even everyday things add up. Peanuts, peanut butter, some fortified cereals, potatoes with the skin on, Brown rice, as we said, yogurt, milk, they all chip in.
Wow, that's actually a really long list. It sounds like if you're eating a good mix of fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds, legumes, whole grains, you're probably getting there.
That's the idea. A varied whole food-based diet really should cover your needs.
Okay.
And remember that point about absorption. We typically only absorb maybe 30–40% of the magnesium we eat.
Right. Only about a third.
So consistently eating a variety of these rich foods is important to make sure enough actually gets absorbed and used by your body.
Okay, so the big takeaway message is focus on eating a diverse range of these real whole foods. That's the best bet for getting enough magnesium.
That's absolutely it. For most healthy people, diet is the way to go. It's the most natural and likely the most effective approach for overall health.
This has been super helpful, really cleared things up. So to wrap up, magnesium, clearly essential, involved in hundreds of things in the body. Supplements, maybe useful sometimes, specific situations, definitely talk to a doctor first.
Especially about dose and interactions, yeah.
But the foundation is that varied diet, lots of greens, nuts, seeds, legumes, whole grains, maybe some dark chocolate.
You can't forget the dark chocolate.
Never. That seems like the smartest strategy for getting enough of this vital mineral.
Exactly. A balanced diet is just fundamental, and magnesium is a key part of that.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for breaking all that down for us. Really appreciate the insights.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about this stuff.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. Hope you found this useful. That's all for today. See y'all next time.